Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we live in. We have entered the final weekend of the MLB regular season. So last weekend I looked at the most disappointing player at each fantasy baseball position. Today we're going to look at the all mostly went undrafted fantasy baseball team. How did I decide if a guy was mostly undrafted? I took the website Fantasy Pros, which took the consensus rankings from March 30th, right before the season began, from 6 different websites, including ESPN, CBS, Yahoo. They averaged them out. So if the guy had over a 300 average draft position, 300 players are drafted in a 25-round, 12-person league, then they were eligible to be included. I'll include 1 catcher, 1st baseman, 1 second baseman, 1 shortstop, 1 third base, 3 outfielders, 5 starting pitchers, 1 relief pitcher. I'll name the outfielders and starting pitchers in alphabetical order by last name. A lot of tough choices on here. I'll try to name some guys I also considered as I go through this. So at catcher, we're going to go with Yanir Diaz. Now, Astro fans wonder why he's not playing more often, why Martin Maldonado gets so much playing time, but he's been one of the most productive hitting catchers, regardless of whether they were drafted or not. A 282 average with 23 homers in 354 at-bats. He's driven in 60 runs, 51 runs scored. He's not going to draw many walks, but high batting average, a lot of power. Had just 8 at-bats last season for the Astros. Mitch Garver was definitely also in consideration. At first base, we're going to go with Spencer Steer of the Cincinnati Reds. Steer is hitting .270 with 23 homers, 86 RBIs, stolen 15 bases. One of the many productive rookie first basemen on the Cincinnati Reds, part of a 2015 club, 20 homers, 15 stolen bases. Has been productive throughout the season. He appeared in just 28 games last season, batting .211 with 2 homers. So definitely is my choice at first base. Second base, this is the toughest one. I went with Nolan Gorman. Gorman has been injured. He's on the 10-day IL. Kind of a low batting average at .236, but what makes him included is the pop in his bat. 27 homers in 406 ABs. Also driven in 76 runs. A little bit with his feet as well. 7 stolen bases. Did improve on his average from last season, .226. And he hit 14 homers in 283 at-bats. So more pop with the bat. More than double the RBIs from last season. Nolan Gorman is my second baseman. At shortstop, another guy who unfortunately has been hurt. It's been a little over a month since he last played, I believe. That is Matt McClain, another rookie from the Cincinnati Reds. And I'm giving him this spot over Elly De La Cruz. De La Cruz came in on fire. Still has a ton of stolen bases, but the batting average is down quite a bit. So I went with McClain, who in his 89 games batted .290 with 16 homers and 14 stolen bases. Also scored 65 times on the season. I mean, you prorate those numbers to 162. That's 29 homers, 118 runs scored. So definitely, while he's not going to win NL Rookie of the Year, he will get some votes. I also considered Elly De La Cruz. Royce Lewis, if he had played more games, could have been considered as well. Just not enough games played, but a great season for him as well. At third base, we're going to go with Isaac Paredes of the Tampa Bay Rays. Batting average not extremely high at .248. But this is a guy who entering this season had a .209 career batting average in 168 games. But he has 31 homers on the season, and he's also driven in 97 runs. So, I mean, he did show pop last year with 20 homers and 331 at-bats, but a .205 batting average, just 45 RBIs. So he's more than doubled his RBIs from last season. Part of the reason why, despite how many injuries the Rays have faced. He has helped keep them in playoff contention, and they are going to make the playoffs. Jake Berger also in consideration here. Three outfielders. Let's start with another Tampa Bay Ray, Josh Lowe. This season, Lowe is batting .290 with 20 home runs and 32 stolen bases, so a 20-30 season for Josh Lowe. Last season, he batted just .221 with 2 homers and 3 stolen bases in 52 games. So he's been a lot more productive than he was last season. He's also driven in 81 runs. Josh Lowe, the first outfielder. Next outfielder I put on here is Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna really was struggling the past 2 seasons with Atlanta. In 2021 and 2022, he batted a combined .222 with just 30 homers in 172 games. So 675 OPS as well. This season's OPS 878, .268 batting average, 37 homers, puts him in the top 10 in the majors. He's also driven in 93 runs, and he has been a much better hitter in the second half of the season for Atlanta. My third outfielder is the Washington Nationals' Lane Thomas. Thomas wasn't really a productive hitter entering the season. Last year, he batted .241, 17 homers, 8 stolen bases in 146 games. Improved on all those numbers this season. 154 games, he's batting .266 with 28 homers and 20 stolen bases. If he scores 1 run over the next 2 games, that will give him triple digits for the season. He's also driven in 86 runs. Was widely considered to be in trade talks. Ended up staying with the Nationals, and it probably could be said he has been their best player. He was actually acquired by the Nationals in a trade that sent John Lester to the St. Louis Cardinals. Now my 5 starting pitchers. Some other outfielders I considered. If I put a DH on here, Jorge Soler probably would have been that DH, as he has 36 homers. He's mostly played DH, as has Marcell Ozuna. Other outfields I considered, TJ Fried. Chas McCormick was definitely a tough guy to leave off. James Outman and Nolan Jones of the Colorado Rockies. So starting pitchers, let's start with Tanner Bibby. Very good rookie season for Bibby. In his 25 starts, Bibby is 10-4 with a 2.98 ERA, nearly a strikeout an inning, 141 in 142 innings. A very solid 1.18 whip. Has pitched well to end this season. As his last 5 starts, he's given up just a total of 9 runs while striking out 29 batters. Tanner Bibee will not win AL Rookie of the Year, but could easily finish top 3. Next, let's go with Kyle Bradish of the Baltimore Orioles. What a season it has been for Bradish, ending strong as well. 14 innings, no earned runs in his last 2 starts. 29 starts this season, 12-7, 2.86 ERA. Again, slightly under a strikeout an inning. 163 in 166 and 2/3 innings. A 1.05 whip. He's third in the AL in whip. He is third in the AL in ERA. Of course, he's not going to win the Cy Young. That's going to go to Garrett Cole. But the Orioles have the best record in the American League. Bradish last season had a 4.90 ERA in 23 starts, so much improved. Other 3 starters, Zach Eflin of the Tampa Bay Rays, man. Looked like they may have overpaid for Eflin. 3 years, $40 million. It's the biggest contract they actually ever handed out in free agency. But boy, has it panned out, as Eflin leads the American League with his 16 wins, has a 3.50 ERA, in 31 starts, over a strikeout an inning, 186 in 177 and two-thirds innings, and an excellent 1.02 whip on this season. That whip is second in the American League, so outstanding season. While he had some solid years with the Phillies, none quite as good as this one, as his previous career bests were 11 wins and a 3.97 ERA. Mitch Keller of the Pittsburgh Pirates, probably the fifth guy I'm including because while his ERA is not great at 4.21, he does have 13 wins and he struck out over 200 batters for the season in 194 and a third innings. So in the end, I decided to include Keller. He actually has a 1.25 whip as well, which is above average. He was named to his first All-Star team. Last year, he actually had a 3.91 ERA, but the whip was much higher, and he only won 5 games. But 9.7 strikeouts per 9 innings for this season compared to 7.8 last season. And the fifth starter I am going to include on here is Michael Waka Flocka Flame. Michael Waka of the San Diego Padres. Been a disappointing season for the Padres, but in his first season with the Padres, Waka has performed well. 13 wins in just 23 starts, so it was one more than half his starts. A 3.39 ERA, 117 strikeouts and 127 and a third innings, and a 1.19 whip. Now his numbers aren't far off from last season when he went 11-2 to 3.32 ERA in 23 starts for the Red Sox. But people probably saw that 5.05 ERA in 2021, 6.62 in 2020, 4.76 ERA in 2019, and wanted to see if he could repeat his 2022. He definitely did, and that includes better strikeout rates and more wins as well. And our relief pitcher is going to be Adbert Alzolay of the Chicago Cubs. Last season, Alzolay only pitched in 6 games. Previous season, 4.58 ERA, but was mostly used as a starter. 21 starts and 29 appearances. This season, a 2.71 ERA, 57 games, all out of the bullpen. Saved 22 of them over a strikeout at innings, 66 in 63 innings pitched. Slightly over one whip at 1.02. Alzolay has become a very solid closer for the Chicago Cubs, and he is actually, I'm sorry, his ERA is better than 2.71. He pitched yesterday. His ERA is 2.67, and he has 67 strikeouts in 64 innings. But Alzolay has become a very solid closer for the Cubs. He is the relief pitcher. I should have mentioned other starting pitchers I considered. Eduardo Rodriguez, Aaron Savali, Braxton Garrett, Wade Miley, Seth Lugo, Yuri Perez, and Cole Reagans. I mean, some of those guys like Perez and Reagans just didn't throw enough innings for me to consider them. Maybe Tanner Scott, Carlos Estevez for relief pitchers. But there you have it. That is my all mostly went undrafted 2023 fantasy baseball team. Let me know in the comments some guys that maybe you picked up off waivers that really helped your team perform well. Let me know if you picked up any of these guys, how happy you were that you got them for free off the waiver wire. Definitely a fun fantasy baseball season, though. A lot of unexpected players, a lot of great rookies. A lot from the Reds, but of course we had Corbin Carroll and Gunnar Henderson as well. So mighty productive rookies that were also good for fantasy baseball teams. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.